what was supposed to be a special live stream. I've got an update for you real quick, and then we're going to talk about Stephanie, who is the sponsor of tonight's segment, where we talk about human origins. We talk about all kinds of cool stuff. We're not talking politics, so don't bring your politics. We're talking philosophy, we're talking history, we're talking human origins. Okay, so just so you know, my old man, he's had back issues for a long time. He's actually had to have multiple back surgeries. And when I talked to him earlier today, he told me he'd been stretching, and then when you stretch and all of a sudden you pop a muscle. So he tried to power through it. Even my stepmom, was reminding him that he had time with me, but he's like, I can't take it. So he is getting carted to the hospital by my stepmom. He's probably already there. He left about a half hour ago. What's up, beach bum? Okay, so just what's up, occult? All right, so just so you guys know, normally the old man was here. He felt bad about it, especially because he knows, that you guys really like it. He likes it as well. My old man, he likes the social media stuff. He just doesn't know how to do it himself. So that my way coming through me is a way for him to be able to get his fix in without him having to really worry about too much. So yeah, well, dude, that was a big problem. Like, part of the reason why he had to retire early from the school bus was because he did 20 years in the army, and then he spent like another 10 years working driving school bus. And while he was driving, because of the way the seats are, they had to give him a special seat and everything else like that, and even give him like some extra cushion. Like, he would get the newer buses with the better hydraulics and stuff, and it still wouldn't. His back was still in a lot of pain. So he pushes through it. He tries to man up. I will hand it to him on that. He still thinks he's 20 years old, even though he's like 65. So what's up, Edward? What's up, Beth? Need Chad's help tonight. Giant tornado going over me right now. They're calling catastrophic. Yes, you and Clyde are. It sounds like you guys are both getting tornado warnings. I wish you all the best. Make sure that you are in a safe position. You can catch the live stream in replay. You don't have to be here. Your safety is more important. Okay. Um, Holy shit. Well, Beth, I'm sorry to hear that. Um, okay, yeah, I hope he feels better soon. What's up, Annabelle? Oh, you're Skeeter's daughter. What's up, Annabelle? Nice to meet you. Okay, so we're gonna talk human origins, but this segment, this Friday segment, is actually sponsored by Stephanie at Open Air Properties. Now, some cool things happened. I got to talk to her today, and she has three properties that are like right around the corner from me, and they're all right together. So I sat there and I had a nice little conversation with her, and I said, look, you know I would like to have a special offer that is just for my viewers, those of you that are watching. So this deal is good until next Friday, when the next deal comes out. But this is a once in a lifetime deal. I'm expecting that there are going to be a lot of people calling. But here's the special thing. It's just for you. So you have to mention that you saw this on YouTube through Fire Tuck's live stream, so that you can get this special discount. And the reason why is because we've got 3 acres. Total price about $25,000. I think it's about $24,000 is what the total price is. So your monthly payment per acre would be the 349, which is your down payment and your dock fee, and then $200 a month after that per acre. Okay, so what she's doing this special, because I asked her to do it, because I said I bet you one of my guys will come over there and say hi to you and probably take you up on this deal, because I mean, this is one of those you can't walk away from, because at $200 a month per acre, that would be $600 a month. Now, what I asked her to do was it's not about the length of the contract, it's about the payments. So instead of paying $600 a month plus 349 per acre, you get the special deal that goes to my audience and my audience only, is that you get 349 because you're buying it as a bundle. So it's 349, which is your down payment and your dock fee. And then instead of being $600 a month, she's going to drop the payment in half if you buy the bundle. only if you buy the bundle, because if you go and ask her for just a single property at this price, you're not going to get it. The reason why she's doing the special price is, one, because I asked her, and two, because this is a bundle deal. This is, she normally just sells them one by one. Okay, so for instead of paying $600 a month plus probably about $1,000 out of pocket for each dock fee, if you were to buy them separately, you can buy the 3 acres. It's enough to be able to grow, to have livestock, to have everything you need. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You're not going to get something that's going to be, especially if you have to live on payments, you're not going to get something that is going to be not only this low and give you an opportunity to get into something that you want. Okay, because you'll be like about a block and a half from me. That's, so therefore you're going to be part of my community. Check comments, please. Okay, hold on. Alone now. Sorry, Stephanie. It's great. You're okay. Um, okay. So, um, okay. So, okay. Well, Beth. Okay. So I can answer you that. I can answer that because my mom. This August will be 12 years since I found her body. Okay, but we'll get into that in a second. Okay, Beth. But I wanna finish that, but I will answer your question. Okay, so um, okay, so anyways, um, okay, but anyways, so let me put this out real quick. So anyways, if you want the document, if you want the or excuse me, if you want the piece of property, it's 3 acres. You have plenty of room to build land. It's flat. It doesn't have nearly as many rocks as I have. It is. If you want to go watch one of the videos I did on the property, you'll be able to see it. But um, anyways, the thing that I want to really drive home is that this is only you. If you go online, if you don't mention my name, you will not get this. If you try and just buy one at a time and try and get the discount, you're not going to get it. It only comes with the bundle discount. It is something that I had to work with her on to find something that worked for her. Okay, because like I said, if you want to buy each property, just as a one-off instead of as a bundle, you're going to have to pay full price. But if you take the bundle, you're going to get a discount, 50% off of your monthly payment. One of the things that caused me to move to decide to buy a piece of land from Stephanie, $200 was in my budget, but what really lit a fire under my ass was I got 25% off of my payment. So you're going to get a better deal than I got, because I would like to have one of you in my community as part of this whole thing. Okay, so with that being said, let's take some time for some community business, because we're a community first. The content is second. So Beth, I'm sorry for your loss. I do apologize. Well, I mean, I gotta be I gotta be diplomatic about it. You understand this is YouTube, but you understand that I care enough to not only acknowledge but to sit back and offer you my 2 cents because you asked for it. So when I found my mom, it was kind of hard to process. Um, the thing is that my mom was very destructive in my life, but not only was she destructive, she was the only person I could talk to. Like, even to this day, whenever I think of my mom, I still miss her. The thing is, time away from something is going to heal you. Right now, what you've got to understand is that she was having trouble. There was nothing that you could do with it about it. Okay, if it, there's not, when it comes to that, there's nothing you can do about it, and I'll tell you why, because I'll tell you my story. Okay, and this is even going to be in my book, but not this detailed. Okay. Mm, okay. So I was losing everything. I knew my wife was gonna eventually make sure that I could never see my kid, because that's what my mom did to my dad. And science says that you marry your mother, and I married somebody worse than my mother, but whatever, that was my choice. I have to pay the consequence for it, and so does my son, unfortunately. Um and the thing was, it's just the whole world. I had worked, I kept clawing myself out. Every time I got up, I got on my feet, the world would fall down around me. So I decided I wanted to expire myself. Nobody could have stopped me. Nobody could have reasoned with me. There's nothing you can say you can do. Once a person makes that decision and decides to follow through on it, there's nothing you can say. They're not going to tell you that they're going to do it either because they don't want to be stopped. The only people that really talk about it are, some of them are crying for help, but a majority of them, they just, they're craving attention. They're feeling alone and neglected and stuff like that. It's not even pain. It's more about, it's a reward dopamine trigger. Okay. And so therefore some people use it as a way to be able to feel good about themselves because they want to see who cares about them and who doesn't, because it's very manipulative. Okay. But the people that are serious about it will never talk about it. Okay. Because I tried multiple times, and then I finally figured out what my actual solution to my problem was. This is how I ended up getting brain damage. Okay. I figured out, and I wanted to see my son one last time. That vision of being able to see my son was what caused me to pull the bag off of my head. Okay. Not everybody is going to have something that is going to do that. But what I will tell you is that the universe tried to let her know exactly how it felt about her. She probably felt love like you've never seen. And but the thing is, that's a defense mechanism. And if you can override that defense mechanism, then you have success. Unless you do something, free falling or whatever. But for the most part, it's there are so many defense mechanisms to get you to live, that if you choose not to live, you actually mean it. Okay, that's just the truth of the situation. I can't offer any other insight. There's nothing you could have done. This was on her. This was her personal journey. Um, and spending 23 days in the hospital was what I needed to have a turnaround, because I stopped blaming everybody else for my problems, because this is really what society does. Okay. What society does is it teaches you that you're no longer responsible for your own actions. Everybody else is responsible for your own actions. So therefore you lose accountability. Even commercialized Christianity is doing the same damn thing. Okay. There is no accountability. Well, the thing is when you go along that life and you blaming everybody for your problems, and so therefore you're not changing anything that's wrong with you, because everybody else is the problem and not you. Because that's what even the whole world is telling you. The new friends you make, oh yeah, yeah, those people were crappy. No, no, no. Be a real friend and remind them, like, hey, there was probably something that went on there. You need to dig deeper and not just blame it on them. Okay. It takes two to tango. Because the decisions I made coming out of that made me start taking accountability for my own actions. Realize that your mind creates your reality. What you do legally. So if you want to combine the Freeman theology with Billy Meyer, and just kind of the way that I think. Okay, so you're accountable. You have the accountability. You have to be accountable for your actions. Okay, your thoughts become your reality. Okay, because your thoughts are what attracts it. So therefore, if you've got negative things happening to you, the first thing you need to do is to identify your thoughts. Okay, because it's your thoughts that are, because it's how you interpret it, and then that interpretation becomes perception, and then that perception becomes reality. Okay, so as an individual and stuff like that. Okay, so uh okay, well, all right, Bucknut, sorry about this. Yeah, this is not. But anyways, okay. But anyways, that's what we're gonna talk about this subject, because we need to move on. I was reading chat. Beth. Okay. All right. So, I apologize about this, but okay. Let's hijack chat back from what's going on. So, you guys are here for the origin stories. That's why we're here. So what I want you guys to do is to kind of tell me what you guys are interested in. I could tell you a story that I've read, and I even interviewed the guy that wrote it. It's One Who Studies. If you go in my interview playlist, you'll see him. I interviewed him probably like 2-3 years ago. Okay, if you want the direct link to his article, because I originally read it, and when he told me that he was the one who wrote that, I was like, Now I know who you are, and dude, you were so freaking awesome. Like at first, I thought he was just an arrogant jackass, but when I first met him, okay, so yeah, no worries, Beth. Um, alrighty then. Okay. All right. So what I want to know is, do you guys want me to tell you this story start to finish? It's a human origin story. It tells you a lot about the species and everything that happens here on Earth. Uh, okay, sure, Beth, will do. Um, anyways, with that being said, would you guys be interested? So type one if you'd be interested in hearing that story. Type two if you're not interested in that. But if you type two, suggest another topic then. Uh, all right, fine, Beth. Have a nice day. Um, okay. So one. Okay, so it looks like we've got some people that are somewhat interested in this. So let's keep going. Mm. All right. So I'm gonna tell you a cigarette, or I'm gonna have a cigarette while we're doing this. Have a good one, Beth. Okay. Um. Okay. And here's my suggestion. I want to say this before we get going. Um. Some of the stuff, like if there's stuff like that that you really want my stuff on, um, I don't even know how to approach this. I understand Beth is upset. She's going to be upset. Let her be upset. She'll be back. At least I hope she is. If not, I understand. Okay, understood. But there's more stuff than that. Okay. So, anyways, okay. Have a nice day, Beth. Mm. Okay. So let's go into this origin story. Okay. And by the way, something like this is something that needs to be brought to me privately. I don't really, it's not something that we need to have a talk publicly, because for some people, I'll put it to you this way. I was in a BNI group and I started telling my story. And two people, because of what the way I was telling my story, it triggered them and caused them a whole bunch of mental anguish. Sometimes you have to worry about the many over the few. There are people that are important and that I care about their opinion. But in reality, like people say, you have a hard day, that's fine. Okay. So, anyways, um, okay, have a nice one, Beth. Okay. You don't need to blow up chat and all that other stuff. I understand you're hurting and all that other stuff, but I'm gonna put you in pause if you want to keep going this way. Your emotions are getting control of you, and because you're not controlling the situation, therefore you're having an issue. So understand that there's other people that are here besides just you, and I can't just focus on one member of the community. I have to focus on the community as a whole. The community showed up for something. This is something we could have had as a private talk. Now you're forcing me to have it publicly. So you want to get upset? I understand. Okay. That's first thing. And take some time, cool down, have and we'll talk privately, but this isn't something we need to have publicly. Okay. So, I apologize for those of you guys that see this. I have to fight. I have to find a delicate balance. I have to keep my mental stability together. I have to keep other people's. I have to worry about a community because I'm not just building this for one person. I'm building this for a larger community, and I have to take them into account. And if I lose things along the way doing that, I understand. But sometimes you got to make tough decisions. You can want to help people all you want, but if both of us are drowning, how is that helping? You see what I'm saying? So, anyways, so you talk about homesteading. Yes, Charlie, I do. I do talk about digital homesteading, and I'm talking about the things that are more. are more important. So most of your preppers, they're going to talk about gear. They're going to talk about all that stuff. But they're not going to really they don't really have a lot of survival experience. They've gone out, they've ran scenarios, but they've never had to do it. I've been off and on the streets for 25 years because of a work accident that happened. Okay. And so through that process, I had to learn how to survive, how to be resourceful, how to build community, how to build reputation and things like that. And it's sometimes it's hard to keep a reputation because the reality is you can only please some of the people some of the time. You're not going to please everybody, and so you've got to kind of get to that standard. And that stuff. But we have a community, but I also have to protect myself because I have my own issues that I got to deal with, so I kind of got to keep somewhat of a buffer. Okay. So um no, I put her in timeout, Tammy. Okay. I need her to go and to mourn and process this. Okay. I understand some of you guys are going to be upset. I understand. But fact survival is something I know about, and don't eat anything if you have, and do what you got to do to survive. Yeah. I mean, I've eaten food out of a trash can. I've begged, I've done all kinds of things that I'm not proud of, things that most people would have to be extremely desperate to do. Charlie. Mm. But anyways, um, okay, but all right, so let's get into the story. Okay. Let's get into the story. So the story starts with a guy by the name of Nocadamian. Okay. Nocadamian comes from a planet far, far away, not even in this dimension, not even in this universe. Okay. And so his people, he became a spiritual leader, and as the spiritual leader he was able to evolve quicker than anybody else, and he was one of the first people in their recorded history to be able to get to a point where it evolved so much in the physical realm that he therefore evolved into the metaphysical realm. So you start off physical realm, half and half, full metaphysical, right? um but anyways so the thing is once Nocadamian passes away, his society is left and they split into two. Doesn't this sound like a lot of folklore that we've already had? This is kind of interesting because if you look through the different folklores throughout origin history, you'll find some similarities here. So anyways, they split into two. And one group decided that they would evolve naturally. The other group wanted to evolve fast, like their master. So what they did is they started playing with genetics and started doing genetic manipulation. They isolated the aggressive gene and reduced that out of, or took that out of their society so that they could therefore reduce aggression. But what ended up happening with that group over time is that other planets that had people on it would come by, would find them, and then they would have to defend themselves. But because they had that aggression, it made them very hard to survive. It made it kind of was very disruptive to their society. um uh okay, so anyways, okay, but anyways, that's kind of a weird name and a weird thing. Sorry guys, I got distracted by chat. So anyways, this group did that. So what they did in order to fix their problem was they decided to create a human, but it was a genetic hybrid. What they did is they gave it cancer, they gave it all kinds of diseases, and they sped up the aging process so that being would not live longer than 100 years. Okay, because a human being can live about 2,000 years. But what they did is they genetically modified it. They heightened the aggressive gene because they needed basically genetic warriors, kind of like how Star Wars does it. I forget, was it the robot, the clone army. Okay, so think of it the same thing as the clone army. um okay, let's see here, put user in timeout. Okay, all right. And so they ended up creating this. So this is where supposedly the origin story of Adam and Eve finally came into fruition. So therefore, this group grew, and as the population fixed their genetic problem, and they pulled the um they pulled they put the aggressive gene back into their genetic code, and they were able to fix themselves. Well, they come to the conclusion, but they had to have, back and forth to everybody else and stuff like that. They had to come to a consensus. Do we um, do we continue to go against the creational laws and abolish this abomination, or do we suffer the consequences of our actions and let them die out normally and fix them along the line? And there was a group, and what ended up happening is you had a group of sympathizers that felt bad about destroying life because they knew it was wrong. But what the council had come to the conclusion was is that they were going to completely wipe out this whole abomination. But those sympathizers decided to grab as many of them as they possibly could before the execution was to happen, and to skirt them out of the area. And they went to a planet that we know as Mars. What's up, Sai? They went to a planet that we know as Mars. Okay. Um, and they sat there and they built. And the people that were sympathizers kind of usurped themselves over that group as a group of gods. Okay. And they wanted to let them exterminate themselves naturally. They didn't want to be responsible for exterminating life. What they wanted to do was to use religion and things like that as a way to form division, which therefore forms contention, and then eventually it'll become scorched earth theory, and everybody will wipe everybody out. That's what they're hoping for. That was the overall goal. It wasn't that they wanted to help them live or be better or anything else like that. They just wanted to do it ethically and humanely as best as possible. And so therefore that's why they did it. But all of a sudden, here comes this star. It comes through about every, I think, 2,500 years. Zachariah Sitchin calls it Nibiru, but it's actually like the destroyer planet. And this destroyer planet, as it comes through, the people there on Mars realize that planet is going to get too close to Mars. It's not going to hit Mars, but it's going to get too close to Mars. And if it gets too close to Mars, what it's going to do is it's going to rip off the atmosphere. So what they did is they devised a plan. They decided to go to two different planets. One to the planet Malona, one to the planet that we know as Earth. Okay, so going to these people in the planet Malona, they were, from the way that I understand it, is what they were doing was what